Aloha, guys. This is Dr. Tom coming back at you. I'm coming at you live from the state of Florida. Well, it was live when I recorded it. Okay, we're going to talk about Chapter 3, suffixes today. Suffixes are super important. Okay, in one of the previous videos, I made a mistake. I know it's hard to accept, but one of those little question test things that they give us, the correct answer to the one about which was required all the time was with a root word, and it's a suffix. All of them have suffixes. It actually shows that they're. I wouldn't have thought that, but that's what they say, and so that's how you need to answer in a test. All of them have a suffix is the correct answer. Chapter goals. Oh, we're going to skip them. Okay, guys, let's start moving here. Here's some of the important suffixes. Algia means pain. Algia means pain. That's a biggie. Need to know that. Put a star by it. Dynia also means pain. This is less common. Dynia. Centesis is a surgical puncture. For example, pregnant women sometimes have it done where they draw some of the amniotic fluid. Ectomy, surgical removal. Tonsillectomy, hysterectomy. Emia, something to do with the blood, super important. Leukemia, anemia. Genesis, producing or forming. Just think about Genesis in the Bible and the creation. Gram means to record, like an EKG, ECG. Graph is the instrument that does the recording. Graphy is the process of recording. Okay? Inflammation, itis. Now we know this is a huge one. We've talked about it a lot. This is one of the biggies. Inflammation or what? Infection. Logy or ology is the study of, like biology, psychology. Lysis means to break down or destruction or separation of something. Hemolysis, hemolysis, but it's pronounced hemolysis, is the breakdown of red blood cells for different reasons. All these are important. Malacia means softening. The most common time you'll hear that is chondromalacia, where like cartilage, people get it in their knees. The cartilage starts getting soft. Megaly means enlargement. Think of Megalomart. Isn't it, what was it, the Simpsons? No, King of the Hill. Anyway, yeah, megaly. Oma means tumor. Mass collection of fluid, yeah. It does not indicate, however, that it's benign or cancerous, because you can have both kinds of tumors. Opsy means to view, like when they scope out something. Osis means a condition usually abnormal. Can't think of an example at the moment. Pathy or apathy, super important, has to do with disease. Pathologist is the doctor who specializes in identifying disease. Penia means deficiency. This is one you don't see a lot, but like the common one that comes to mind for me is osteopenia, which is a osteoporosis that's just all over the body. Phobia means fear. Acrophobia is fear of high places. Claustrophobia, fear of being entrapped in tight places. Plasia means development, formation, or growth. Okay. We'll see examples of that. Nothing comes to mind. Plasty surgical repair. Simple. Just think of a plastic surgeon. Does surgical repair or remodeling. Plasty surgical repair. Ptosis. Now in this case, the P is silent. Ptosis. Drooping, falling prolapse. It's most commonly seen in the eyelids. There's a few disease states that cause the eyelids to droop. It's called ptosis. Rhea means to flow or discharge. Rhinorrhea is a snotty nose, a runny nose. Sclerosis is hardening. Some elderly folks have arterial sclerosis, where the arteries are getting hard. Scope, we already said, instrument for visual examination, like a otoscope to look in the ear, ophthalmoscope to look in the eye. Scopy is the process of doing it with the endoscope. Stasis, to control or stop. Common example would be hemostasis. Somebody's bleeding, you put a bandage on it, and you put pressure. That's stasis, to control the bleeding. Stomy is opening to form a mouth, a stoma. Most common in that, it probably, guys, is a colostomy. A person who has had to have their colon rerouted to the abdominal area, and a stoma is created. They have a bag, and that's where they go number 2 into. Therapy, treatment, okay, toming, incision, or cutting into something. Trophy is development or nourishment. For example, in muscular dystrophy, there's a problem with not having proper development. Suffixes continued. These are a little tricky, guys, because it's hard to. They're not a large enough word to really associate much with. But one who, ia condition, ist as a specialist, vacuole, or like a small arteries and arteriole. Ileum, yes, okay. You need to be familiar with these, but they're just harder to go over because they don't really have specific meaning. As same with these. You've seen them before, pertaining to. Genic, we know, is being produced. Think of Genesis in the Bible. ICL, pertaining to. Oid, resembling. OSC, pertaining to, full of. OSC can also mean a sugar, though, too. Yes. OUS, pertaining to. TIC, pertaining to. Okay. All right, what do we got here? Combining forms. Arthritis, inflammation of a joint, yeah. Or what? Infection. Blepharoptosis is a drooping eyelid. Yeah, blephar is one of the words for eyelids. Ischemia, real important. Loss of normal blood flow or lack of oxygen to tissues is actually the more accurate, which is usually due to blood flow, but it could be because you have anemia and you don't have enough hemoglobin and you're not getting enough oxygen. So ischemia is actually a shortage of oxygen. Usually due to this, but other causes. Osteogenic means it comes from bone. Why? Osteo means bone, genic. Staphylococcus, there are many bacteria in the world, guys. This is one of them. You've heard of staph infections. This is what does it. Berry-shaped bacteria grows in clusters. Hernia seal, protrusion of an organ into a cavity it isn't normally located in. Organ bulging where it shouldn't. Yeah. Okay, here they're using an example of female. This is a lateral view. Here's the uterus, the vaginal canal, here's the rectum, here's the urinary bladder and urethra. In this case, in the cystocele, the urinary bladder is protruding into the vaginal canal. In the rectocele, the colon, or the colon, is protruding into the vaginal canal. So when something herniates, guys, it's where one part of the body squeezes its way through another. A real common one is hernia in men in the groin. But, well, for example, you lift something heavy and you feel a pain and you split the muscle in your abdominal area and the guts poke through. Now, they're still covered by skin, but that's a hernia. There's many different kinds of hernias. Examples of bacteria. Lots of different kinds of bacteria, guys. They're single-cell organisms. There are more bacteria in the body than there are cells in the body. Let me hit you with that again. There are more bacteria in the body than there are cells in the body. It's really amazing. When I first read that a few years ago, I didn't believe it, but apparently it's true. Okay, Steve, heard of strep infections? They're caused by streptococcus. Staphylococcus, staph infections. Diplococcus. There's a lot of different ways, guys, to categorize these bacteria, but Diplococcus are pairs of two. We're going to move along here. Red blood cells are called erythrocytes. Erythro means red. Cyte means cells. They carry oxygen and carbon dioxide in the bloodstream. White blood cells are called leukocytes. Remember, leuko means white. Leuko, white, cyte cells, leukocytes. There's 5 different kinds of white blood cells. There's only one kind of red blood cell. We'll be learning all those very soon. Okay, one category of white blood cells are called granulocytes. Very quickly, guys, there are 5 different kinds. 3 of them, if you look at them under the microscope, you can see granules in their cytoplasm, and 2 of them aren't. The granulocytes are eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, and the agranular are lymphocytes and monocytes. Here they are. Mononuclear cells means they also these ones only have one nucleus, where some of the other ones have multiple. Okay, now there's 3 kinds of blood cells. There are red blood cells, there are the 5 different kinds of white blood cells, and there are thrombocytes, also known as platelets, that help play a vital role in blood clotting. So those are the 3 different types of cells that are in our blood. Tiny cell fragments help blood form clots. Thrombo means a clot. Cyte means cell. Thrombocyte cells that help cause clots. Because if we're bleeding badly, guys, we want it to clot. Okay, acromegaly is a disease not having enough or too much growth hormone. I'm sorry. You see in large extremities, heads, feet, you have these guys that have this big ridge and big, huge jaw and all. They think Abraham Lincoln might have had acromegaly, and Andre the Giant, the wrestler, that big. Growth hormone is produced by the anterior pituitary gland. Laparoscopy. The lapar area, guys, is basically your lap. That's what I think of it. Minimally invasive surgery of the abdomen, look in the abdomen, yeah. So, guys, where they used to have to split you wide open, now they can make little tiny punctures with this laparoscope and go in there and visualize and or do surgery. Adenoids are tissues up in the back of the throat near the tonsils. They're lymphatic tissue. They play a role in immune function. Adeno means glands. Oids means resemble. Head and face. Encephalo means brain. Blephar eyelid, we said that. Ophthalmo is eye. We said that before. Rhino is nose. Remember the big horn. Otto is ear. Tonsillo is the tonsils. Phago has to do with eating and swallowing. Phagocytes are cells that eat, part of our immune system. The neck, tracheo, is the windpipe. In the front here, you can palpate it, feel it. Laryngeo means the larynx, which is the voice box that we speak through. Chest, the thoracic cavity, thorax, is in the chest. It's lined with a membrane called the pleural cavity. Bronchial means the bronchial tubes, little tubes running into the lungs. Pneumo means pneumonia, which is fluid accumulation in the lungs. Could be quite serious. Pulmono has something to do with the lungs' pulmonary function. We'll be using these all in the near future. Cardio means heart. We've mentioned that a lot. Mammo means breast. Also, masto means breast, like a mastectomy. It's a removal, typically from cancer. Mastitis is infection of a breast, usually when they're given milk and stuff. Blood vessels. Angio means vessel. Arterio means artery. Veno means vein. Hemo means blood. Thrombo means clot. We'll be going over those all in more detail. Extremities, acro, extreme, top. Yeah, that's not a good example. This is called the Acromion Process right here, guys. It comes across from the shoulder blade. However, axilla is important. The axilla is the medical term for the armpit. You need to know that for sure. The axilla is the medical term for the armpit. Abdominal, of course, means the abdomen. The abdominal cavity is lined with a membrane called the peritoneum. And that's what this is. That's important too. Colon means colon, which is the large intestine. More commonly probably called colon. Lapro means abdominal wall, or the lap. That's the way I remember it. Hepato means liver. Very important. Root word for liver. Nephro and reno are words for kidney. Very important. Spleno means spleen. A little organ, abdominal cavity, we'll get to a little later. Pelvis, let's see, cystos, bladder, inguino. I'm trying to finish this up, guys, if we can. Inguino is groin, recto is rectum, the terminal distal end of the colon. Here, sharp, sudden, let's see. Adeno means gland, we've gone over that. Adipo means fat, we've gone over that. Amnio, amnion, this has to do with a pregnant female. Arthro joint, bio life, okay. We might can finish up here. Morpho means shape, lympho means lymph, muco means mucus, myo means muscle, myelo means spinal cord or bone marrow. I know it's confusing. General, necro means death, necrosis like death of tissue, nerve. Neutrophil is one of the white blood cells, nucleus. Osteo means bone. Patho means disease, plastioformation, radio, x-rays, radiology, sarco flesh. Retroseal is, we saw the protrusion of the rectum to the vaginal wall. Term means a fear of height, acrophobia. Type of blood cells necessary for clotting, thrombocytes. That's it, we did it, we finished. All right, this is Dr. Tom signing off. I'll do the next one now, and we'll see you soon. Aloha.